are heading to Atlantic City right now, where we're joined by three guests at the center of the city's casino business. It's a big day for them and for New Jersey, which just marked 1 year since sports betting was legalized. We're going to talk about all of that and much more. Let's welcome Jim Allen, who's the CEO of Hard Rock International and chairman and CEO of Seminole Gaming. We're also joined by investors Joe Jingoli, who's the CEO of the Jingoli, which is a nationally ranked contractor and construction manager, and Jack Morris, who's the CEO of Edgewood Properties. And gentlemen, good to see all of you a year later. Jim, why don't we start with you and just tell us how business has been?
This has actually been very good. You know, Atlantic City is an interesting market. The summertime obviously being the peak season, and now coming into that particular venue.
Jack, let's talk a little bit about what you saw when you guys made this deal a year ago with Carl Icahn. Buying the company, kind of turning things around, you said you've been doing this for long enough that you thought it was really a bottom in Atlantic City. Why'd you think that, and do you still think that's the case?
Well, it was the bottom, and we've seen what we can do in a short period of time with the right brand and the right partner. And we're excited about what's happening in Atlantic City.
I'm guessing you guys are getting some feedback in your ear just by your reactions on this. We'll try and sort things out. Yes. Okay. You guys are hearing yourselves back in your ear as you're talking. We'll try and get that worked out as we're going through this. But Joe, for a long time, you've been doing business. You've been in the contracting business and the construction business. What do you see happening right now, not just in Atlantic City, but on a national basis? Where do we stand, and what can you say about the economy based on what you see?
Well, it's a good economy right now for construction, both locally and nationally. Here in Atlantic City, I think what the Hard Rock and Jack and ourselves are doing is really taking a focus on the community and programs that will take social responsibility and turn it into a currency. Are interfacing with the people in our community, and it's really about jobs, creating jobs and opportunity. The Hard Rock opened with 20% Atlantic City residents, and we're now up to 25% Atlantic City residents, people in the community working in our building, and we think it has transferred to a really good business model.
Joe, what do you think about just construction overall across the nation and what you're seeing in your own markets? Are things slowing down at all? Is it full steam ahead?
We're seeing it strong. Right now, what's really needed is trained workforces. We are a union shop, and organized labor. People are retiring, and training and job training is going to be a big issue.
Hey, Jim, with the legalization of sports gambling, what has that meant? Has that changed the dynamics of the business?
Yeah, I think it's actually been very good for Atlantic City. Both the internet gaming and sports betting are two of the driving forces behind the increase of double digits in the total gross gaming revenues here in Atlantic City, and frankly, even in the state of New Jersey at the other pari-mutuels. So it's been very positive.
We've also been watching M&A activity, and after seeing Dorado Resorts buying Caesars for $8.5 billion, what does that mean? Does that spark things? Does it mean you've got to get bigger in the industry? And what are the competitive juices like right now?
Well, it's really the latest chapter in the casino REIT, where you have companies like Vici that was involved in the transaction, where they're basically buying the real estate and then creating rent structures back to an OpCo. Short term, it's certainly increasing the size of multiples that people are paying for gaming assets. We do not think that is something we should jump into head first. We actually have entered into one transaction similar to that in Cincinnati. But, when you start paying $18+ billion for a company, you need to be very careful at what the numbers look like 3 to 5 years from now. I know they've made a statement that they're going to reduce corporate overhead by $500 million. But having been in this industry for almost 40 years, I think that's much easier said than done.
Yeah, when you start getting deal prices like that, does that tell you it's towards the end of a cycle? What else does it tell you is happening right now in the industry?
I think certainly Caesars, being recast, if you will, was something that's been worked on for the last 4 to 5 years. If you remember the original transaction with TPG and Apollo, Frankly, that transaction was north of $24 billion. So I think the industry anticipated this particular transaction. We certainly wish El Dorado the best because it's important for them to be successful. But, a lot of assets, and candidly, a lot of assets that maybe have not had the right capital investment the last 5 years. So a lot of work to clean up, but hopefully they do well in the future.
Hey, Jack, just with Atlantic City, there's always been so much promise in Atlantic City, and it feels like it's never really capitalized on any of that. What's different this time? Why do you think Atlantic City is a place that's going to succeed?
Well, what you've seen in a year so far, Stockton College, their campus opened. They're doing very well. I believe they're going to start an addition to the campus. You've had South Jersey Industries open their headquarters in Atlantic City. You've seen new apartments for the first time being built, luxury apartments, a block away from Hard Rock. You're seeing Tennessee Avenue, the revitalization, small businesses, little cafes, the things that you want to see in a city like this. So we think it's on its way back to being what Atlantic City was and what we think it will be in the future.
Jim, I know the Hard Rock has a property in the Dominican Republic at Punta Cana. Have you seen any impact on tourism there, given all the headlines that are coming out of the Dominican Republic and just concern from potential tourists?
Yeah, so 100%, the market bookings are down, in excess of 20%, and certainly that's understandable. I think this is the classic case of, it's how important it is to make sure accurate information is reported to the general public. But candidly, it's also one of the challenges of being in a country like the Dominican. Their Ministry of Tourism, has come out, made some public statements last week. When you really study the numbers, and it's important to make sure we all understand what numbers are factual and which ones are being exaggerated. But clearly, there's a concern to make sure that people are safe in any foreign country. We operate in 75 different countries. We definitely have seen an impact to bookings. We're hopeful we'll be able to move forward. And most importantly, it does not appear that there is some, individual that is deliberately poisoning people, which was initially first reported.
It looks like it's what then? Sort of moonshine that's just out there, and that's what's doing this?
I think it's frankly, it's part of today's media cycle. The reality is that when people travel abroad, people get sick simply many times by just drinking water that's different here than what they're used to in the United States.
I don't think that's what
there have been 7 deaths, over the last year and a half. And certainly they're being investigated, and we have to wait for the Dominican to come back with specifics on all of those unfortunate passings.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us. Congratulations on 1 year there at the Hard Rock.
Thank you, Becky.
Great to see you.